ವಿಕಸಿತ ಭಾರತ 2047 ಯುವ ಜನತೆಯ ಧ್ವನಿ ಕುರಿತ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮದಲ್ಲಿ ಪ್ರಧಾನಿ ನರೇಂದ್ರ ಮೋದಿಯವರು ವಿಡಿಯೋ ಕಾನ್ಫರೆನ್ಸ್ ಮೂಲಕ ಚಾಲನೆ ನೀಡಿದರು. ಈ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮದಲ್ಲಿ ರಾಜ್ಯಪಾಲರಾದ ಥಾವರ್ ಚಂದ್ ಗೆಹ್ಲೋಟ್ ಹಾಗೂ ರಾಜ್ಯದ ಎಲ್ಲ ವಿಶ್ವವಿದ್ಯಾಲಯಗಳ ಕುಲಪತಿಗಳು ರಾಜಭವನದಲ್ಲಿ ಪಾಲ್ಗೊಂಡಿದ್ದರು. ರಾಜ್ಯ ನೀತಿ ಅರ್ಥನೀತಿಯ ಹೊಸ ಅವತರಣೆಗಳೊಂದಿಗೆ ವಿಕಸಿತ ಭಾರತ ನಿರ್ಮಾಣಗೊಳ್ಳಬೇಕಿದೆ. ಶಿಕ್ಷಣ ಸಂಸ್ಥೆಗಳು ವ್ಯಕ್ತಿಗಳನ್ನು ನಿರ್ಮಿಸುತ್ತಿವೆ. ವ್ಯಕ್ತಿ ನಿರ್ಮಾಣದಿಂದ ರಾಜ್ಯದ ನಿರ್ಮಾಣವಾಗುತ್ತಿದೆ ಎಂದು ಪ್ರಧಾನಮಂತ್ರಿ ನರೇಂದ್ರ ಮೋದಿಯವರು ಹೇಳಿದರು. ಅವರು ವಿಕಸಿತ ಭಾರತ ಯುವ ಸಮಾವೇಶ ಉದ್ದೇಶಿಸಿ ಮಾತನಾಡಿ, ಬರುವ 2047ರ ವೇಳೆಗೆ ಅಭಿವೃದ್ಧಿ ಹೊಂದಿದ ಭಾರತ ನಿರ್ಮಿಸಲು ಯುವ ಸಮೂಹ ತನ್ನನ್ನು ಸಮರ್ಪಿಸಿಕೊಳ್ಳಬೇಕು ಎಂದರು.
नमस्कार। केंद्रीय मंत्रिमंडल के मेरे सहयोगी धर्मेंद्र प्रधान जी, देश भर से हमारे साथ जुड़े राज्यपाल श्री, शिक्षा जगत के महानुभाव, देवी और सज्जनों, आज विकसित भारत के संकल्पों को लेकर बहुत ही अहम दिन है। मैं सभी गवर्नर्स को विशेष बधाई दूंगा कि उन्होंने विकसित भारत के निर्माण से जुड़ी इस वर्कशॉप का आयोजन किया है। देश की युवा शक्ति को दिशा देने का दायित्व जिन साथियों पर है, उनको आप एक मंच पर लाए हैं। शिक्षण संस्थानों की भूमिका व्यक्ति निर्माण की होती है और व्यक्ति निर्माण से ही राष्ट्र निर्माण होता है। और आज जिस कालखंड में भारत है, उसमें व्यक्ति निर्माण का अभियान बहुत ज्यादा अहम हो गया है। मैं आप सभी को वॉइस ऑफ यूथ वर्कशॉप की सफलता के लिए अग्रिम शुभकामनाएं देता हूं। साथियों, हर देश को इतिहास एक ऐसा कालखंड देता है जब वो अपनी विकास यात्रा को कई गुना आगे बढ़ा लेता है। ये एक तरह से उस देश का अमृतकाल होता है। भारत के लिए ये अमृतकाल इसी समय आया है। ये भारत के इतिहास का वो कालखंड है जब देश एक क्वांटम जंप लगाने जा रहा है। हमारे इर्द गिर्द ही ऐसे अनेक देशों के उदाहरण हैं जिन्होंने एक तय समय में ऐसा ही क्वांटम जंप लेकर खुद को विकसित बना लिया। इसलिए ही मैं कहता हूं, भारत के लिए भी यही समय है, सही समय है। हमें इस अमृत काल के पल पल का लाभ उठाना है। हमें एक भी पल गंवाना नहीं है। साथियों, हम सभी के सामने प्रेरणा के लिए आजादी का हमारा लंबा संघर्ष भी है। जब हम एक ध्येय के साथ, एक जोश, एक जज्बे के साथ आजादी को अंतिम लक्ष्य मानकर मैदान में उतरे, तब हमें सफलता मिली। इस दौरान सत्याग्रह हो, क्रांति का रास्ता हो, स्वदेशी को लेकर जागरूकता हो, सामाजिक और शैक्षिक सुधार की चेतना हो, ये सारी धाराएं एक साथ मिलकर आजादी के आंदोलन की ताकत बन गई थी। इसी कालखंड में काशी हिंदू विश्वविद्यालय, लखनऊ विश्वविद्यालय, विश्व भारती, गुजरात विद्यापीठ, नागपुर यूनिवर्सिटी, अन्नामलाई यूनिवर्सिटी, आंध्र यूनिवर्सिटी, यूनिवर्सिटी ऑफ केरल, ऐसे अनेक संस्थानों ने देश की चेतना को सशक्त किया। यही वो कालखंड था जब हर धारा में युवाओं के भीतर आजादी को लेकर नई चेतना का संचार हुआ। आजादी के लिए समर्पित एक पूरी युवा पीढ़ी खड़ी हो गई। एक ऐसा विचार देश में बन गया कि जो भी करना है वो आजादी के लिए करना है और अभी करना है। कोई चरखा काटता था तो वो भी आजादी के लिए, कोई विदेशी सामान का बहिष्कार करता था वो भी आजादी के लिए, कोई काव्य पाठ करता था वो भी आजादी के लिए, कोई किताब या अखबार में लिखता था वो भी आजादी के लिए, कोई अखबार के पर्चे बांटता था वो भी आजादी के लिए। ठीक इसी तरह आज हर व्यक्ति, हर संस्था, हर संगठन को इस प्रण के साथ आगे बढ़ना है कि मैं जो कुछ भी करूंगा वो विकसित भारत के लिए होना चाहिए। आपके लक्ष्य, आपके संकल्पों का ध्येय एक ही होना चाहिए, विकसित भारत। एक शिक्षक के तौर पर आप ये सोचें कि ऐसा क्या करेंगे कि विकसित भारत के लक्ष्य में देश की मदद हो। एक विश्वविद्यालय के तौर पर आप ये सोचें कि ऐसा क्या करें कि भारत तेजी से विकसित बने। आप जिस क्षेत्र में हैं वहां ऐसा क्या हो, किस तरह हो कि भारत विकसित बनने के अपने मार्ग में तेजी से आगे बढ़े। साथियों, आप जिन एजुकेशन इंस्टीट्यूट को रिप्रेजेंट करते हैं वहां आपको देश की युवा ऊर्जा को इस एक लक्ष्य के लिए चैनलाइज करना है। आपके संस्थानों में आने वाला हर युवा कुछ न कुछ विशेषताओं के साथ आता है। उसके विचारों को चाहे वो कितने भी विविध क्यों न हो, उन सबको विकसित भारत के निर्माण की धारा से जोड़ना है। मैं चाहूंगा कि आप सभी विकसित भारत @2047 के विजन में कंट्रीब्यूट करने के लिए अपने दायरे से बाहर जाकर भी सोचें, आउट ऑफ बॉक्स सोचें। देश के हर कॉलेज और यूनिवर्सिटी में अधिक से अधिक युवा इस अभियान में शामिल हो सके, इसके लिए भी आपको विशेष अभियान चलाना चाहिए, नेतृत्व करना चाहिए, सरल भाषा में चीजों को व्याख्यायित करना चाहिए। आज ही माय गॉव के अंदर विकसित भारत @2047 सेक्शन लॉन्च हुआ है। इसमें विकसित भारत के विजन के लिए आइडियाज का एक सेक्शन है। और क्योंकि आइडिया की शुरुआत ही आई से होती है, इसलिए इसमें ऐसे आइडिया चाहिए जिसमें वर्णन हो कि मैं स्वयं भी क्या कर सकता हूं। और आइडिया में जैसे आई सबसे पहले है, इंडिया में भी आई सबसे पहले है। यानी अगर हमें सफलता पानी है, लक्ष्यों की प्राप्ति करनी है, उचित परिणाम लाना है, तो स्वयं के आई से ही शुरू होता है। इस माई गॉव पर, इस ऑनलाइन आइडियाज के पोर्टल पर 5 अलग अलग थीम्स पर सुझाव दिए जा सकते हैं। सबसे बेहतरीन 10 सुझावों के लिए पुरस्कार की भी व्यवस्था की गई है। साथियों, जब मैं सुझावों की बात करता हूं तो आपके सामने खुला आसमान है। हमें देश में एक ऐसी अमृत पीढ़ी को तैयार करना है जो आने वाले वर्षों में देश की कर्णधार बनेगी, जो देश को नेतृत्व और दिशा देगी। हमें देश के एक ऐसी नौजवान पौध को तैयार करना है जो देश हित को सर्वोपरि रखते, जो अपने कर्तव्यों को सर्वोपरि रखें। हमें सिर्फ शिक्षा और कौशल तक ही सीमित नहीं रहना है। एक नागरिक के तौर पर 2400 घंटे देश के नागरिक कैसे सजग रहें, इस दिशा में भी प्रयास बढ़ाने आवश्यक है। हमें समाज में वो चेतना लानी है, कैमरे लगे हो या न लगे हो, लोग ट्रैफिक की रेड लाइट जंप न करें। लोगों में कर्तव्य बोध इतना ज्यादा हो कि वो समय पर दफ्तर पहुंचे, अपने दायित्वों को निभाने के लिए आगे बढ़कर काम करे। हमारे यहां जो भी प्रोडक्ट बने उसकी क्वालिटी इतनी बेहतर हो कि मेड इन इंडिया देखकर लेने वाले का गर्व और बढ़ जाए। जब देश का हर नागरिक जिस भी भूमिका में है, जब वो अपने कर्तव्यों को निभाने लगेगा तो देश भी आगे बढ़ चलेगा। अब जैसे प्राकृतिक संसाधनों के इस्तेमाल से जुड़ा विषय है, जब जल संरक्षण को लेकर गंभीरता बढ़ेगी, जब बिजली बचाने को लेकर गंभीरता बढ़ेगी, जब धरती मां को बचाने के लिए केमिकल का इस्तेमाल कम होगा, जब पब्लिक ट्रांसपोर्ट के ज्यादा से ज्यादा इस्तेमाल के प्रति गंभीरता होगी, तो समाज पर, देश पर, हर क्षेत्र में बहुत ज्यादा सकारात्मक प्रभाव पड़ेगा। मैं ऐसे कितने ही उदाहरण आपको गिना सकता हूं। आप भी मानेंगे कि छोटी छोटी बातें हैं, लेकिन इनका इंपैक्ट बहुत बड़ा होता है। स्वच्छता के जन आंदोलन को नई ऊर्जा कैसे दी जाए, इसके लिए भी आपके सुझाव अहम होंगे। हमारे युवा आधुनिक लाइफस्टाइल के साइड इफेक्ट का मुकाबला करें, इसके लिए आपके सुझाव अहम होंगे। मोबाइल की दुनिया के अलावा बाहर की दुनिया भी देखे, ये भी उतना ही जरूरी है। एक शिक्षक के तौर पर आपको ऐसे कितने ही विचारों की सीडिंग वर्तमान और अगली पीढ़ी में करनी है, और आपको खुद भी अपने विद्यार्थियों का रोल मॉडल बनना है। देश के नागरिक जब देश के हित की सोचेंगे, तभी एक सशक्त समाज का निर्माण होगा। और आप भी जानते हैं कि जिस तरह समाज का मानस होता है, वैसी ही झलक हमें शासन प्रशासन में भी नजर आती है। मैं अगर शिक्षा के क्षेत्र की बात करूं, तो उससे जुड़े भी कितने ही विषय हैं। 3-4 साल के कोर्स के बाद हमारे शिक्षण संस्थान प्रमाण पत्र देते हैं, डिग्रियां देते हैं, लेकिन क्या हमें यह सुनिश्चित नहीं करना चाहिए कि हर छात्र के पास कोई न कोई स्किल अनिवार्य रूप से हो? ऐसी चर्चाएं, इससे जुड़े सुझाव ही विकसित भारत की यात्रा का मार्ग स्पष्ट करेंगे। इसलिए आपको अपने हर कैंपस, हर संस्थान और राज्य के स्तर पर इन विषयों पर मंथन की एक व्यापक प्रक्रिया के रूप में आगे बढ़ना चाहिए। साथियों, विकसित भारत के निर्माण का यह अमृतकाल वैसा ही है, वैसा ही समय है जैसे हम अक्सर परीक्षाओं के दिनों में देखते हैं। विद्यार्थी अपने परीक्षा के प्रदर्शन को लेकर बहुत आत्मविश्वासी होते हैं, लेकिन फिर भी अंतिम समय तक वो कोई कोर कसर बाकी नहीं छोड़ता। हर विद्यार्थी अपना सब कुछ झोंक देता है, समय का पल पल एक ही देह से जोड़ देता है, और जब परीक्षा की तारीखें आ जाती हैं, डेट डिक्लेयर हो जाती है, तो ऐसा लगता है पूरे परिवार की परीक्षा की तारीख आ गई है। सिर्फ विद्यार्थी नहीं, बल्कि पूरा परिवार ही एक अनुशासन के दायरे में हर काम करता है। हमारे लिए भी देश के नागरिक के तौर पर परीक्षा की डेट डिक्लेयर हो चुकी है। हमारे सामने 25 साल का अमृतकाल है। हमें 24 घंटे इसी अमृतकाल और विकसित भारत के लक्ष्यों के लिए काम करना है। यही वातावरण हमें एक परिवार के रूप में बनाना, ये हम सबकी सामूहिक जिम्मेवारी है। साथियों, आज दुनिया की आबादी तेजी से बुजुर्ग हो रही है, और भारत युवा शक्ति से सशक्त है। एक्सपर्ट बताते हैं कि आने वाले 25-30 वर्षों तक वर्किंग एज पॉपुलेशन के मामले में भारत सबसे अग्रणी रहने वाला है। इसलिए भारत के युवाओं पर पूरी दुनिया की नजर है। युवा शक्ति एजेंट ऑफ चेंज भी है और बेनिफिशियरीज ऑफ चेंज भी है। आज जो युवा साथी कॉलेज और यूनिवर्सिटीज में हैं, उनके कैरियर को भी यही 25 साल तय करने वाले हैं। यही युवा नए परिवार बनाने वाले हैं, नया समाज बनाने वाले हैं। इसलिए ये तय करना कि विकसित भारत कैसा हो, ये हक भी सबसे अधिक हमारी युवा शक्ति को ही है। इसी भाव के साथ सरकार देश के हर युवा को विकसित भारत के एक्शन प्लान से जोड़ना चाहती है। देश के युवाओं की आवाज को विकसित भारत के निर्माण की नीति रणनीति में ढालना चाहती है। युवाओं के साथ आप सबसे ज्यादा संपर्क में रहते हैं, इसलिए इसमें आप सभी साथियों का योगदान बहुत महत्वपूर्ण होने वाला है। साथियों, हमें प्रगति के जिस रोड मैप पर चलना है, वो सिर्फ सरकार तय नहीं करेगी, उसे देश तय करेगा। देश के हर नागरिक का इनपुट उसमें होगा, सक्रिय भागीदारी इसमें होगी। सबका प्रयास यानी जन भागीदारी एक ऐसा मंत्र है जिससे बड़े से बड़े संकल्प सिद्ध होते हैं। स्वच्छ भारत अभियान हो, डिजिटल इंडिया अभियान हो, कोरोना से मुकाबला हो, वोकल फॉर लोकल होने की बात हो, हम सभी ने सबका प्रयास की ताकत देखी है। सबका प्रयास से ही विकसित भारत का निर्माण होना है। आप सभी विद्वज्जन स्वयं भी देश के विकास के विजन को शेप करने वाले लोग हैं, युवा शक्ति को चैनलाइज करने वाले लोग हैं। इसलिए आपसे अपेक्षाएं कहीं अधिक हैं। ये देश का भविष्य लिखने का एक महाअभियान है। आपका हर सुझाव विकसित भारत की इमारत की भव्यता को और निखारेगा। एक बार फिर आप सभी को आज के इस वर्कशॉप की तो शुभकामनाएं देता हूं, लेकिन आज से जो आंदोलन शुभारंभ हो रहा है, और मेरा पक्का विश्वास है कि 2047 तक हम विकसित भारत बना सकते हैं, मिलकर के बना सकते हैं। आज यात्रा का आरंभ हो रहा है। नेतृत्व शिक्षाविदों के हाथ में है, नेतृत्व विद्यार्थियों के हाथ में है, नेतृत्व शिक्षण जगत की इंस्टीट्यूशंस के हाथ में है, और ये अपने आप में देश बनाने वाली और स्वयं को भी बनाने वाली पीढ़ी का कालखंड है। उन सब के लिए मेरी बहुत बहुत शुभकामनाएं हैं। धन्यवाद।
After listening to the inspiring words of Honorable Prime Minister, I hope to envisage the developed India by 2047. This unique program, Viksit Bharat @2047, has brought us all together to understand the sole purpose of building the new nation, if I may call it. Spread the same vibrancy to the youth of Karnataka to prepare them to the global world through the leaders of the state of higher education institutes who have gathered here today. Now, we will have the Vice Chancellors will be called for to speak on the chosen topics one by one, after which the Vice Chairman Karnataka State Higher Education Council will give his remarks, followed by the speech by His Excellency the Honorable Governor of Karnataka.
Respected Vice Chancellors of Karnataka and other directors from Karnataka institutions, first of all, let me thank Karnataka Higher Education Council for initiating this panel discussion. So first of all, let me bring to you, all of you, that I think this is one of the proudest moments for all of us today, is that India is the fastest growing large economy in the world. And if you want to really compare with other countries, you need to compare with other advanced countries. I'm sure all of you know that many advanced countries are actually struggling with, almost 0% GDP growth, and at the same time 10 to 11% inflation. So if you compare with all those countries, I think we should be really proud that we are growing at 7.6% for the current year. But if you look at the next 7 to 10 years forecast by International Monetary Fund as well as World Bank, they can still tell you that India would continue to be the fastest growing large economy in the world. But when you talk about Viksit Bharat, the developed nation by 2047, is this 7.6% or 7%, is it sustainable? Or is it going to help in bringing equality among regions, or equality among the people? I think this is the question that we need to ask. And this is where I have some of the things that I thought we should bring it to notice of all the people, and particularly to the youth who are going to be part of this 2047 agenda. There is so much discussion about 5 trillion, 10 trillion, 30 trillion economy, but I just want to tell you these are all in nominal numbers. Okay, if you are growing at nominal GDP growth at 12%, 13%, you will definitely achieve this 30 trillion economy sometime. But what is important for all of us is what is the per capita GDP growth that we want to achieve by 2047. Right now we are at about $1,200 per family or per head, but you need to grow from $1,200 to something like $14,000 per head by 2047. It's going to be a very long call for all of us. So I think what is important for us to look at right now, how can we sustain this high GDP growth that we have been having for the past 3-4 years. So here I have, I think, 5 things that I thought I will bring it to all of you. And it's not much discussed in public policy circles also. One is that structural transformation. 7.6% GDP growth, will it lead to better employment opportunities, whether in terms of number of jobs or whether in terms of quality of jobs? I think we are looking at what is a kind of a unequal growth that we are looking at. We are looking at services growth is growing much faster than manufacturing or agriculture sector, and we don't have any history to see that without manufacturing sector where any country has become advanced countries. So I think one of the important aspects that we need to look at is how we can have a balanced growth between agriculture, industry and services, and the recent focus by the government where they're trying to focus more on manufacturing sector, I think we need to really bring back. And I did some study for Niti Aayog, where if you can increase the share of manufacturing sector to 25%, I think you will be able to achieve the kind of per capita GDP growth that you are looking for 2047. The second is about sustainable development. We all know that India is a signatory for Sustainable Development Goals, but unfortunately it has not become part and parcel of the public policy, but it's limited only to the Niti Aayog, but it has not really percolated to the state Niti Aayogs. I mean, there are some pockets. I know Karnataka is doing extremely well, but there are many states in the country where it's not really been become part and parcel of public policy. So here we are trying to talk about SDG consistent macro framework. And again, there are few states that are looking at it, but there are many states are actually not talking about sustainable SDG consistent macro framework. The third is skills. Honorable Prime Minister has insisted so much on that. I think we have a larger role in the university setup, whether you follow national education policy or you talk about state education policy. I think the skills has to be part of the state education policy that we follow in our curriculum at the university level. I think the skills, the Prime Minister has insisted so much, so I don't want to speak much on that. The fourth part is the states. There's so much of discussion happening between the center versus states. Now, if you want to become, India has to become Viksit Bharat by 2047, I think you need to include all the states, not some pockets of the country, but I think we need to look at every state to be part of this whole, scheme. The fifth one, very least discussed, I know it's going to be boring, but the very least discuss is the statistics. You know, we talk about so many things, but without much data, without much evidence, and some of the programs which performed very well, both at the central government as also state government, that is basically because of the kind of database or the statistics that we have or we don't have for that matter. And without statistics, there is no country in the world which has become fastest growing economies. I mean, there is some discussion happened at the central government level, but the most neglected topic at the state level is statistics. You know, we know there are DES at the state government level, but I'm sure how much they do. I mean, I don't want to comment much on that, but we have been insisting that there is a need for strengthening the statistics from the district level. In fact, some of the studies I have done for Madhya Pradesh, we focused on the district level, and we can, in fact, the whole public policy need to be implemented at the district level. We have seen how Prime Minister focusing on aspirational blocks from aspirational districts. So if you want to go for aspirational blocks, you need to identify which block, which is lagging in what, parameters, then only there could be public policy intervention. The top-down approach, I think we need to really forget right now. We need to focus more on bottoms-up approach, and this is where the statistics plays a very, very important role. In terms of, there are two things that I thought I will bring it to all of you, is that yes, we are growing very fast. We are growing fast for the past 3-4 years, but there are some other parameters which really feels very sad to listen to all of us, is the nutrition. Okay, if you look at the nutrition, there's so much of money goes into the nutrition program, but if you look at the outcomes, is absolutely disappointing. State after the state spends so much money on the nutrition schemes, but unfortunately, we really don't have much data to say that it has really had any kind of impact. So the overall, outcome-based kind of a program is something that we need to bring in, and I have been taken a position that just allocation alone is not sufficient enough. Ultimately, it is the way we implement, ultimately the way it is implemented at this district level or the block level, and that is where we have been pushing for bringing this whole public expenditure efficiency as part of the public policy. Otherwise, we economists end up in talking about only allocations. We don't talk about the outcome because we don't have statistics, so we don't talk about allocation. So there is a kind of a dichotomy that we have. There's so much of money goes into many public sector programs, but we don't have much outcome, particularly when it comes to nutrition. And one more small point, I'll just raise it and I'll stop there. The role of universities. In fact, if you look at recent, the Vice Chancellors meeting with the Honorable Chief Minister, first question he asked all of us, what is that it makes university to improve the gross enrollment ratio? None of us had any answer. He was staring at us, but we didn't have any answer. So I think if you want to really make universities as place for youth to really focus more on, Viksit Bharat, I think the first and foremost for all of us is to see how we can improve GER, and without improving GER, I think we universities will really fail in meeting the aspirations of the Honorable Prime Minister. Thank you so much.
I'm just going to restrict my views on innovation, science and technology, because I believe that the examples which are given in the papers which have been submitted to us, Singapore or France or South Korea, where they have developed their countries, they have become a developed country with a short span of time, and I'm seeing their growth is mainly because of their investment in the science and technology and innovation. Of course, all other things will be parallelly worked out, but for youth, it is very important that they take this particular challenge as a spirit of empowerment and achieve various things which are required to become our country empowered. According to me, when we discuss these things in my own university with the students as well as the youth, because we have made it is mandatory that each department should have at least few activities in a week which are related to innovation, skill development. They should come out with a plan by which they can create some new things, come out with the skill development activities, and that is how, when we see I look into 3 or 4 important things where we can make a contribution. One is definitely the digital technology, where we are doing well. We have yet to do many things with the new invention of AI, machine learning, blockchain and all that. The second very important thing is energy. Our country has a lot of resources for making technologies as well as investment and skill development in students from renewable energy sector. Third is definitely health. As you know very well, many neighboring countries are looking India as a health sector, tourism or health sector based innovations which are going to take place. Is the food sector. So it is our responsibility to develop the students' mindset in such a way that instead of in the universities now going for placement drives and placement sections and all that, make them empowered in such a way that they themselves come with the ideas and develop their own skill and become entrepreneur. Because this is the way the things have happened in other countries where we are looking, they are developed. Very important thing is when we see Bangalore, particularly Karnataka has an advantage. Because when we see the economic growth, when we see technological growth, the first city the people look is Bangalore or Karnataka. But I can see we have a lot of talent in the universities or education institutions which are at the other locations. There also a lot of talent exists. And we are actually not taking care of that because of lack of awareness, lack of infrastructure, or lack of funding, all those things. So it is necessary that policies should be developed where we look for other universities. For example, my university, today's program, I asked the faculty to start, and by afternoon I am going to get at least 10 ideas which will be going to be submitted on the portal which Prime Minister has told. Already discussions are going on, groups are made, department-wise programs are going on. So students are fast. Whereas if you go to the universities which are at the level where aspirational districts are there or backward districts are there, where we need to work a lot. All these things will become very important if we want to really make our country a superpower or a developed one. And I wish that the Karnataka Higher Education Council can construct or can constitute a high-level task force, because that becomes very important. Just like last few years we worked for NEP to be implemented. Now we may work for SEP to be implemented. Similarly, if we have a task force that how these 3 to 4 areas where we need to conquer in the world, a task force can be made, programs can be chalked out, and also funding. Because many times I see in the youth, they come out with the ideas, they are very energetic, but if there is no proper guidance and proper funding, we are not nurturing their mind. We are not nurturing their way by which they should grow. So in that sense also, we have to see how funding can be done. Working now in a private university, I am seeing many philanthropists, because government sector somehow is now tied with several other responsibilities for funding. There are other priorities. But when it comes for research, education, extension, even though there are many schemes, I can see every day one new scheme is floated by Niti Aayog, by DST, CSIR, and many other funding agencies, but it is very difficult to reach to that stage, especially for the young minds. So it is necessary that we should have alternative arrangements. I am happy to tell you that in Garden City University, our Chancellor himself has created a fund called a Chancellor's Fund of 1 crore rupees. So if any student or a faculty come out with an idea which goes through the scrutiny and has a base by which it can become an entrepreneur or it can go into a national or international level, we are funding it and we are encouraging these things. So funding, infrastructure development, looking into top priorities where we can do the research or we can contribute, and then encouraging the young mind at this particular age is the one where we can contribute. And definitely whatever our Prime Minister told or whatever all of we are thinking now can be achieved. With these words, I thank for giving me an opportunity. Thank you very much.
Here I would like to take this opportunity to share some of the thoughts, and I would like to talk about empowerment actually, Empowerment India. I stand here on behalf of the University of Transdisciplinary Health Sciences and Technology, located at Yelahanka, Bangalore. Talking about empowered India, we all know that unless we are empowered, we cannot develop. And the educational institutions undoubtedly have to play a very major role in empowering each one of us, because knowledge is one such aspect which help anybody to get empowered. When we talk about knowledge, not that India is behind from any country globally, so far as knowledge systems are concerned. Knowledge, in India, knowledge has never been in isolation to culture and societal norms. In the morning, one of our colleagues talked about honesty, talked about our own culture. So in India, the knowledge has since ages embedded with culture, with a system which we call Indian knowledge system. Now this system has been very, very old, but unfortunately it is also sort of neglected kind of a thing, because we have many other knowledge systems across, and the Western culture, Western knowledge system is the main primary system with which we all are familiar with much more than as compared to the Indian knowledge system. Not that these all different cultures, different knowledge systems have anything wrong, but I think it is also important to know that one cultural system was knowledge system alone, howsoever enlightened it might be, cannot provide the best solution for the purpose of getting developed or empowered. So here in our university, the name is transdisciplinary, and here we try to practice these cross-cultural and multicultural systems to bring them together and come out with a new force, a new knowledge system which has the best elements of different multicultural and intercultural aspects and other traditions which are there around us. And we specifically are working on the public health and nutrition sector. My predecessor has also told about that nutrition is one of the most important aspects. Definitely yes, because when we talk of our youth, India is a youth country, as we just heard, and if the health aspect is not taken care of, all our knowledge, all our technology, all our empowerment may not yield us that results which a healthy mind and healthy body can yield. So we are working on a public health right from the grassroots level, at the community health level. And here in the health system, we are working on Ayurveda and biology. As we all know, the very meaning of Ayurveda and biology is the same, to study the change in the life. And in Ayurveda, as we all know that we see this change, we perceive this change in a systemic manner. Means for us, entire system is one. We do not isolate us from that system, and we work in that systemic level. That is the Ayurveda way of knowing about change of life. In case of biology, the same meaning, change in the life, to perceive the change in the life, but it is a kind of a science where we take a kind of a reductionist approach. We have cell lines, we take the cell lines from the body, we work on the cell lines, we experiment with the cell lines, we come out with the result, and we extrapolate that result for the entire body, which may or may not work. But if we test both the system, we bring all what we are doing, we are testing this Ayurveda. Now, somebody also talked about the evidence, statistics. Now, Ayurvedic system is prevalent in our country for many, many centuries, 1500 BC onwards. But probably it has not earned that popularity because of lack of evidence. We challenge that system of Ayurveda by saying that where is the proof, where is the evidence. True, it is there, and it is not much of there. So we are testing the Ayurvedic platform with the modern biological parameters, which is the Western system, knowledge system. And the things which we come out of the trial, I think that is the one which is giving authenticity to the Ayurvedic knowledge on the platform of molecular biology, which is the proven science, evidence-based knowledge. So in this way, we are trying to bring in public health at the front. And I think one way we can contribute through our university is that to bring a healthy food system for all, healthy nutrition system for all. We are visualizing that like we have our own Aadhaar card, each one of us have the Aadhaar card, which provides us our individual identity. No two person can have the same Aadhaar card. Similarly, we are trying to work on the lines of Aahar card. Aahar means individualized, personalized nutritional system for each one of us based on both Ayurvedic knowledge, that is Prakriti aspect, and molecular biology, that is genotype. Each one of us have our own Prakriti, individual Prakriti and individual genotype. So how we can come out with a personalized nutrition based on these two parameters, which is a fusion of Ayurveda and biology knowledge systems, which are prevalent across us. So this, I don't want to go into details what other universities are doing, but I think when we are working on this, and when we say nutrition, and when we say Ayurveda, we understand it is mostly based on plant-based system. So we are also into conservation of natural resources. I've been to Assam recently, and there I had the opportunity to work with the youths, the young people, and I was not very much convinced to see that though the people there are drawing from the nature, but the sympathy and the approach of those youngsters towards the nature conservation probably need much more investment from our side. So we are also working towards conservation of natural resources, how that nature conservation can bring the natural resources up front, and how we can use those natural forest resources or natural resources into food. And we are also trying to bring in a new concept of that also can be helpful for the developed India. We call it food forest. A forest where we have developed such species, such wild species which are locally found, and we allowed them to grow so that the phytonutrients, now we all bother about micronutrients and macronutrients, which we gather in our diets from different sources, but we are not bothering about the phytonutrients, which only come from the plants, those plants which we all know that our tribal population, our local people who are residing in a forest area, around the forest area, they go to the forest, pick up certain leaves or leafy material and use them as a recipe, as a food recipe, and that is how they complete their diet. So this concept has to be brought back to the urban population as well. So our urban population also understand that there are the plants in their surrounds, and this we want to do in the surrounding area. We want to use only those plants which are found in one surrounding area, not that somebody has to import from outside. So that concept also will add value to a personalized nutrition and at the very local level. And we are also aiming at inspirational villages, inspirational districts, which are our focal area. So I think these are the few ideas which I think that the worry for the health and nutrition and personal nutrition, I think can play a very major role in empowering us. And once we are empowered, definitely we are at the right direction of getting developed and taking our country as a developed nation come 2047. Thank you very much for this great opportunity.
Today I'm here to speak about the pride of India and its role in the changing world. I am of the opinion that India is already in the Viksit stage. I'll start by saying that 2014 was in the calendar year, and IMF has given this in the World Economic Outlook. Now, this country is a peace-loving country, but is also a country of action, especially after what happened in Pakistan and Myanmar. India went into those countries and destroyed their terror centers. So India in future will demand its neighbors and also others to understand that India believes in zero tolerance for terrorism. Today, it's a country of 7.7% real GDP growth in the first half of 2023-24, which our chief economist of SBI, Ghosh, has already announced. It is likely to grow by 8.7% in the years to come. This, in fact, has already changed the identity of India and its foreign policy. From a weak nation to an emboldened one, it has already designed its role for the future in this world. With its second highest growth rate among the G20 nations, with robust domestic demand and strong public infrastructure, it is the third most powerful country in the world in its military strength today. India is poised to become a 35 trillion economy by 2045. Is this not a sign of Viksit Bharat? While we remind ourselves and be a non-aligned country, we are also telling our big brothers and the middle-sized countries to understand that we follow a policy called Indo-Pacific Strategy, whereby we keep the US and the Chinese relations in balance and also probably lead them very soon. From BRICS to World Economic Forum to G20 to UN, we made it clear that we as a Hindu nation believe in Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam and brought in African continent into G20. From the war in Ukraine to Gaza, the world is made to look at our Prime Minister for advice. While our MEA has called a spade, this has given India a voice, its firm footing, and its resolve in world affairs, and no world order in future can ignore India, and this is going to be certain. Now let us see the shape of the new world. The new world order today is in quadrilateral shape, with Russia, US, China pulling in each direction, and European Union and other regional organizations pulling in a different direction, each having their agenda. They have defeated the purpose of globalization and are given their expansionist and domestic compulsive syndrome, worrying about their future. India, on the other hand, stands with 609.02 billion forex reserves, giving its government the confidence for growth and stability. Our vibrant democracy is the future. Is this not a sign of Viksit Bharat? As against all this, in the world around us, we are witnessing failed nations. Developments in some of the countries where they are trying to legitimize private armies. There is a rise of military rule in Africa to fight residual colonial roots of French and others. They seem to undermine the existence of multipolar world with the symptoms of Cold War returning. This has threatened the peace of the world. From Sudan to Ukraine to Palestine, it seems war is everywhere. In their hurry to support their allies, majority of the civilized nations have also discredited UN's ethical position, driving the world to a painful, fanatic craze of religion and pushing the world to the brink of violence and economic regression. What is India's role in all this in the future? India, on the other hand, much against these developments, is working towards creating collective security, establishing a cause for shared future and common destiny for a better and future of the world population. Its aim is to bring collective economic security and to be the global guru, to define the nature of Global South as the destination next to guide the world beyond capitalist exploitation. From ISIS to Ukraine to US-China war, India's approach to this world order will be transactional, rooted firmly in the welfare of the stakeholders of the world. It has not abandoned its domestic policies. It has not abandoned its domestic interests, but it has to take the spiritual leadership to wipe violence by addressing the need for peace and harmony among other nations. Its call for Atmanirbhar Bharat is aiming at reducing dependency and increasing multi-layered connectivity and creating a nation that is self-reliant in almost every walk of life. In many ways, from digital economy to fintech technology, this is the leadership given by India to many of the poorer nations of the world for its better future. I will not take much time. I'll conclude. India's role in the world is no random occurrence. Please remember this. It's no random occurrence. It is a function of its achieved position by the leadership of our Prime Minister, and there is no miracle here because from UPI to Chandrayana, everything is visible. India is, as we know, is working with the larger world order and is trying to promote its interest and is also influencing its partners in such a way that sooner or later, India will get its UN permanent membership. With these words, I would end by saying that with its economic, educational, health, social, agrarian policies, and industrial achievements and domestic politics, and with 4 trillion economy, human-centric globalization will be the success story, and India is interested in establishing an equitable global system and governance in the world by 2047. Let us look towards that relationship because our time has come and our path is clear and we don't have to worry about anything. As masters of moral upbringing, India will reshape the future of the world order and give confidence to failing nations, give leadership to warring nations, and lay the roadmap for a more democratic, equitable, and sustainable world for the posterity. It is this expanding role of India is what I say as Viksit Bharat. Thank you very much.
2047ರ ವೇಳೆಗೆ ವಿಕಸಿತ ಭಾರತ ನಿರ್ಮಾಣ ಕುರಿತ ಯುವ ಧ್ವನಿ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮದ ಮತ್ತೊಂದು ಸಂಚಿಕೆಯೊಂದಿಗೆ ಭೇಟಿಯಾಗೋಣ. ಧನ್ಯವಾದಗಳು.